time to call this meeting to order. First item, roll call and establishment of quorum.
Cesar Peña, present.
Benito Hernandez, present.
Mayor Rick Villarreal present. If I may have a motion, or I'll go ahead and motion to excuse Commissioner Flores and Commissioner Ramirez. I have a second. Annette, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Flores just advised that she will not be able to attend the meeting today
Okay,
due to an illness.
so we'll go ahead and, we're good with the motion to excuse. Thank you. Invocation and pledge, we can please stand.
Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for letting us all come together once again. We ask you to help make the best decision for our city. We also ask you keep us all safe while traveling to and from our city. We, in Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
Jesus, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for the prayer. Certified posting of agenda. Annette?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, the agenda was duly posted as required by state law at least 72 hours prior to the start of the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Barrera. Next item, public comments. We want to go now, Mr. Leo?
No one else signed up other than.
So we have Mr. Leo. We have one person who's our city manager, and he's going to go ahead and take the time to discuss a town hall meeting announcement, which will be coming up here on the weekend. So, Mr. Leo, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Michael Leo, City Manager for the City of Palmview, would just like to remind the council and the public as well that this Saturday we have a town hall scheduled to discuss the ordinance for designated routes for heavy trucks and the topic of heavy trucks in residential neighborhoods, something that we've been talking about for a while. I know we've heard from the trucking community. They were here at a prior meeting, and we agreed that we would schedule the town hall for February 8th, which is this Saturday. February 8th is upon us. As a reminder to the public, it's open to everybody. It's this Saturday at our Parks and Rec gym. We're getting for a little bit more space to accommodate more people. This Saturday at 1 p.m. And again, it is open to the public. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And again, it'll be back here at our gym, right? All right, and we'll go ahead and run through it again at the end of the meeting. And if we can post, if we haven't, I know you guys are already on it. So just keep an eye on it, and any comments that are, address the comments and invite them over. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leo. Consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve items under consent agenda?
I make a motion.
I'll second. And for the records, items under consent agenda is 6.1, approval of the resolution for the 2024 OPSG grant. And the second item was approval of minutes for the regular meeting held August 6, 2024, and the workshop held in January 27th, 2025. Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item, 7.1. Presentation by Purdue Brandon, Fielder Collins and Mott LLP for City of Palm Beach fiscal year 23-24 collection report. Go ahead, Mr. Hiram Gutierrez has the floor. Thank you, sir, again for being here. Go ahead, sir. You have more than 3 minutes. Take all the time you need.
Fiscal year collection report, as the mayor stated, October 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024. The collections program for the city of Palmview is designed with working with your taxpayers, try to resolve their delinquent tax problem without the need of litigation wherever possible. To that end, we have made over 2,000 contacts with your taxpayers trying to resolve their delinquency. We have also mailed over 1,600 notices of delinquency. When those letters come back undeliverable, we do address research, skip tracing. We've updated 262 addresses on accounts owing to the city of Palmview. Also, as part of the pre-litigation We also conduct field inspections. We try to go visit the property, see if we can go find somebody, or if it's a business, find the business owner and see if we can get them to pay. We've conducted 74 field inspections during this period. Once we contact the taxpayers, they're not always able to pay in full. We do enter into payment agreements with them. During this period, we've entered into 29 payment agreements involving over $38,000 in base tax alone. When all those efforts don't have the desired effect, the taxpayer doesn't pay the taxes or doesn't want to enter into any kind of payment agreements, we will enter into litigation, always as a last resort. During this period, we've have filed 43 suits involving over $140,000 in base tax owed to the city. When it's a business that's closing, and we could also file what's called a tax warrant. It's a lot quicker. We filed one tax warrant here in the city of Palmview. Advanced Auto Parts is going out of business. We've already contacted them. We're making sure that the city of Palmview gets paid before they leave town. We also represent you in federal courts, mostly in bankruptcies. During this period, we've represented you in 6 bankruptcies involving over $952 owed to the city. Well, of course, once we take a judgment, we still try to work with the taxpayers, see if they want to go ahead and start a payment agreement or maybe pay in full. But if that doesn't happen, then we will proceed to tax sale. During this period, we've put up one property, we've sold one property, that is. Sold 2 properties, bringing in over $10,000 in base tax. And one of them resulted in a payment agreement. Again, we up to the 11th hour, we still try to work with the taxpayer. One taxpayer entered the payment agreement involving over $3,700 in base tax owed to the city. In all, we collected over $14,000 with the tax sale process. And of course, all the efforts are geared to one goal, and that is to collect your delinquent taxes. And I'm proud to let you know that during this period, we collected over $186,000 in base tax and an additional $72,000 in penalties and interest for a grand total of over $258,000 owed to the city of Palmview. And the last slide there shows you a comparison between the last fiscal year and this fiscal year. And as you can see, this fiscal year we collected $186,000, which is roughly 11.7% more than the previous fiscal year. And that concludes my report, and I'd like to open it up for any questions you might have.
No, I'm sure every city asks, what are the challenges when it comes to, to collecting? And not in other cities, but just, not necessarily other cities, but here.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing your rate, and we know it's pretty high.
Yeah.
A good high return, which is good.
Yeah, but yeah, by the way, that the collection percentage, over 26% for the city of Palmview, that's a very good collection rate. Some of the biggest challenges are we can't actually go after all of the delinquent taxes owed to the city of Palmview. If somebody, and this is a good thing in my opinion, if it's a homestead, they're over 65 or they're disabled, there are some protections for those homeowners. They can get a deferral. And you do have a lot of your residents that have a deferral on their property, and what that means is that we can't touch it. It shows up as part of your delinquency, but there is nothing that we can do. They can pay voluntarily, or otherwise, there's nothing we can do. Once the property sells or they pass, then we can go ahead and proceed with either a tax sale, whatever we need to do at that point.
How can we help you? How can the city help in the collection? Is there anything that we're not doing to help, or that we need to do?
Yeah. I think the city's been very responsive, very helpful. But if you see a business that's closing up, leaving town, and you think you're going to lose out, let us know. We'll go approach it. Or let's say the city sees that there's an abandoned lot in the city that's not being taken care of. Call us up and let's see their owed some delinquent taxes. Maybe it's just a property that somebody passed away, they're not taking care of it anymore, and you want us to move forward on that, just let us know, and we'll go ahead and start the process. And again, if the taxpayer is not interested or there's nobody there, again, a lot of times it's people just, they're deceased, and the only option is to go ahead and go through the foreclosure process and sell the property at tax sale. So again, if you see vacant lots, weedy lots, and you want to find out whether there's delinquent taxes, give us a call. We'll look into it and do whatever we need to do to expedite the process.
Mayor, what I would add is the attorneys, correct me if I'm wrong, delinquent tax attorneys only get involved if the taxes are delinquent. So for the first 6 months, if taxpayers are paying on time, it won't go to their office. Our collection rate for those taxes have averaged between 93% to 94%, which is a pretty good rate, right? As far as the cases that ended up in litigation, 43 cases, even if we went with 4,300 parcels, and we know that we have more than that because we have that many residential parcels, it's, 10% of that would be 430, so 1% would be 43 parcels. So this is like 1% of cases that actually end up in litigation. And a lot of those properties, if you look at them, they're either abandoned, the people forgot about them, they let them go, they made a conscious decision to let them go. They felt it's not worth it anymore to even keep up with the taxes. To their credit, Purdue's been very conscious about, nobody's trying to kick anybody out of their house, so to speak. If they're homestead, they're going to work with them, and
You're
we
working
do
with them
hear that.
already. Yeah, I saw that.
Absolutely.
And you guys, your firm is good, is notorious for help.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, whatever we can do to help the community, please let us know. We're always willing to work with your taxpayers and find a solution to their delinquent tax problem.
Any other questions?
Thank you. No, we're good.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you for taking the
Be in
time, and
touch.
y'all have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in touch. Y'all have a good evening. Appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Okay, on to item 7.2, under new business, discussion and possible action regarding a resolution supporting an application for the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for 2025 competitive 9% housing tax credits for RST Mandalay, staffed by Mr. Leo.
Mayor, this item, the resolution before you, you're going to hear a little bit of background on the project itself, but the resolution is a resolution of support. Number one, if you vote in favor of it, you are showing support for the project. Number two, it does come with a commitment. It's a scoring system, so the more points they get, the better this application looks like. So we agree to support it, number one. And then two, a financial contribution of some kind. They get more points, and it puts it in a better position to get awarded or selected. So the second part of the resolution agreed that the city will commit financial support by waiving fees in the amount of $500. So we don't have to pay a contribution, but rather like an in-kind where we will waive permit fees or inspection fees of that sort. And legal's already looked at it, and this is, not uncommon. Very many, governmental entities do that. But to hear about the project, with your permission, we'd like to call on Clifton Phillips to give us some background on the project itself. And we should have handouts, and it'll be on the screen as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I know the packet, it's Clifton Phillips. by
We
the way.
got a
Thank-
big Texas-sized package.
Yeah, we printed out as big as we could so you could see it easier. But thank you for letting me come tonight. I know the packet went out with the agenda, but I'll go through it quickly, and then I'm more so here to answer questions because I'm sure you might have a few because it's general in nature. The packet that you have in front of you, I'm not sure if it'll go through in the screen. The first is the site location, which is pretty much across Veterans at approximately the 600 block. And you can see it there on the screen. The total tract in question is about 5.8 acres, but the site plan, as we'll get to in a minute, is for the back portion, which would face Veterans, for approximately 4 acres, 4.1 acres. In the front would remain open for development in the future. In our initial plan, we're working with staff now with a zoning application would be to save the front for commercial use. In the rear, the 4.1 in the back, as you'll see, would be the development itself.
If I may just put in perspective, City Hall is right here, so this is literally right across the street, just a little bit further down before the plaza right there.
The next slide just it tells a little bit of, oh, well, is the actual site plan itself. You'll see it's 104 units. Again, it's senior living, which is 62 years or older. It's a mixture of 1 and 2 bedroom units, the majority being 1 bedroom units of 631 square feet and some 2 bedroom units. Our experience in the past with other developments we have done is that some people either room together or they have a separate room for crafts or other items. There's a few amenities listed, and you can see kind of we would have a dog park area, a pool. It would be elevator served. It's a 3-story building, and so the clubhouse would be in the central area, and you can see it would be common corridors leading to the clubhouse so that the seniors could easily get from their unit to the central area where there would be a community room with a warming kitchen and then other activities like a fitness center, other rooms that they could socialize in. The next slide, I think, does kind of go a little bit more into the actual, the square footage, and you can see a little bit about the unit. Again, the 631 square feet. This is the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It has shower, has a walk-in closet, washer dryer connections, pantry, kitchen area, pretty standard layout. The next slide would be the 2 bedroom, pretty much very similar. I guess I did forget to mention there's a little mud bench when you come in with a coat rack, but same layout, except in the 2 bedroom you also have a tub and a shower combination, just in case people do like
The tub or the shower?
Yeah, the tub or the shower if you choose. And the showers, since it is for elderly, would have benches in it as well. The next slide, if you could, is just a sample of a rendering. We would be working obviously with staff, and when we go through the permitting process, this is a sample of something we possibly would do for a 3-story design. And then quickly, I guess on the next slides, a little bit about our group. We've, over the years, we've been around about 20 years. We've developed over 2,200 units. We currently have about 600. We also work with other organizations that we've worked with in the past, with some housing authorities, with some other nonprofits to build the housing. We work with a third-party management company. We don't manage ourselves, and that we feel like that's the best method to ensure that we can hold people's feet to the fire and have quality management on site. And then the next few slides, you can go through, well, that shows where we have developed throughout the U.S., but this is one in Temple. This one is also an elderly facility. It was a 2-story design. It was slightly smaller. It was 92 units. The next one is in Plano, Texas. And a quick note on it, it was across the street from a neighborhood with some very nice homes. We had built a phase 1, and when we came back to build this phase 2, the neighbors actually supported us. And because, again, with the third-party management, we do what we say we're going to do. So they supported the second phase. That's also senior living. Each one in the presentation is as well. And the next one is in, that's kind of the courtyard of that same facility, is in Uvalde. It's a little different design. It's a smaller, it's 80 units, but it was more of a cottage style. And I think that shows just one more picture of kind of the community porch area, and then 4 units off each individual porch. I really do like that style, but we just don't have enough land for the density. This is a typical fitness center, business center, and I think that would round it out in just some other cities that we've worked with. But again, I'm here to answer questions.
So it'll have a workout room and a fitness center and a business center as well?
Right. And generally, we have a big community room so that that have activities.
Family
like
or friends or
yeah.
whatever the activities.
Right.
Are
and
these gonna be rented, or are they leased, or they owned, or
They're rented,
rented?
yeah,
Wow. So you'll have one bedroom and two bedroom.
right.
And let's say the two bedroom, what is the maximum for one, maximum occupancy of occupants for a one bedroom and for a two bedroom?
They feasibly could go up to 4 people. It's two
For
people,
two-
yeah, it's 2 people per room, but what we typically see in this situation, again, most of the tenants at our other properties are 70 years or older. If it's a one-bedroom, it's a single person or possibly a couple. If it's a two-bedroom, it's a couple and they use the second room for something else. Or it's a roommate situation, and it's typically 1 and 1. So in general, you don't get more than 1 per bedroom.
So you're part of the team,
Yes.
right? And then there's another part of the team that will obviously be handling all the rent and working with the tenants. And
Right.
making sure that all those, they're of age and they follow
Right.
the requirements.
Yeah, so it's a third-party group,
So,
and,
so how did you all end up in Palmview?
well, we look,
Question?
I'm sorry?
Here's a question.
Oh, here's the question.
I saw all other, Eagle Pass is the closest, right, if I'm correct?
Right.
Temple.
So we look in different, I mean, we also have worked in Florida, we worked in Mississippi, Arkansas, we've worked in different states, but we do tend to look for areas that need housing, areas that are growing, and which I know I spoke with you earlier today, there's a lot of growth in this general area, and there's a lot of need. And I personally, not just speaking just about Palmview, but going forward into the future, there's a lot of people that will be exiting homes of baby boomer generation over the next 10 to 15 years, and there's a severe lack of elderly housing. Yeah, there's already a shortage amongst workforce housing, but there's also a shortage with,
So the beautiful thing, I'm gonna pitch it, so you can pitch it. We're about 2 miles from the World Birding Center and Benson State
In the
Park,
park,
which
yes.
is also a butterfly, and there's a lot of beautiful habitat and nature. We're also, this 495 here, which it's gonna become a state highway. And it'll be paved beautifully here, God willing, in the next year. And it'll have sidewalks on both sides.
Oh, nice.
So they can literally walk to Walgreens or walk to HEB
The HEB.
or walk to we're gonna have a couple of restaurants too, with the good Lord's, will. It's gonna, all those little nice things are gonna happen here. And then, of course, they have the park that they can come and walk and they can exercise, they can come and watch games. And heck, if we have enough citizens, we might even open up a volleyball or a softball or a fitness. Well, they'll have their fitness, but we might be able to do something. If the need is there, we'll do everything we can to help provide, make those bridges, make those connections. And not only with this community, but with all members of our community. So that's a beautiful thing. It'll be a win-win situation, I believe. So we're excited, we're happy, and we're elated, and we're eager to support. I believe, at least that's on the mayor's part. We'll let the rest of, we got 2 commissioners that are unfortunately not here. However, I'm more than sure that they feel the same way that we do. I'll be 55 in 2 months. So,
What's the cutoff? I think it starts at, you said 65 or?
you can have a small portion at 55 or older, but in
Okay.
general, it's 62 or older.
62 or older.
Yeah. And I'm close as well. I'm 53, so it's not very long that I would qualify.
And where is everything at right now in the process as far as like drawings, and I know you're getting an application submitted to HUD as well?
Well, it's through the state, so it's very preliminary because it's not a HUD project per se. We'll use traditional financing, but it's preliminary in the sense that we have to go through the application process. I will say that there's typically in this region, the state agency that helps with the financing allocates by region. In this region, this deal would be number 2, so it would get funded. They can do 3, typically about 3 deals per year, so this one would be funded. We just need to get a few more items. We need to get the state rep support and would like to offer that if anybody would reach out to the state representative, because we need a letter from the state rep as well, and we're in contact with the state representative's office, the resolution of support. But most of the other items we have together, we will submit the application at the end of this month. It will go through the underwriting at the state level where there shouldn't be any problem there, assuming everything else comes together, such as the state rep support. We would get an award in July, and then we would move quickly to finalize plans with the city and move towards breaking ground. So worst case, absolute worst case, it would be first part, like January of next year, we would be
next year.
moving dirt, yes.
What type of plans do you have on the frontage side for commercial use?
We don't have plans yet. We,
No?
at this point, we haven't looked as much on that. It'll be a 1.7 acre parcel would still be remaining. And then on the site plan, if you look at it, there's a drive that would just be for emergency for the senior living facility that would connect to the frontage road. But the commercial could use it as well. We'll give an access easement, so it could be, so that it'll actually be a slightly bigger site for the commercial because they will be able to utilize that access drive as well. So but it would be in the bottom left corner of the picture there. But we don't have plans at least yet at this point.
But we know that it will be for commercial.
Yeah.
And that's, we're working on some, with our directors, Rudy and Joseph, to leave the frontage, for that, for commercial.
And it will be good too, because it'll be a
Yeah.
more bite-sized parcel for a commercial versus the entire 5.8 acres.
And there's 40 acres just north right here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we heard they were for sale too, but we're not, I don't know, we reached out to the owner. But I know there's a lot of room to grow. But we're good with those 5+ acres too. We're thankful.
Yeah.
We're thankful that you all decided to make a little home for several people
Yeah.
here in our little town, our beautiful little town. So we're excited, we're humbled, and if we can reach out in any other way, we'll give Mr. Leo authority, and we'll go ahead and vote on it before the night's over
Okay.
in support unless
Yeah.
we have otherwise.
Okay.
Looks good. Anything else? I guess more questions will come, and thank you for all the answers.
Yeah,
A lot of
thank
times we
you.
have questions, but we don't have answers, and I think
Right.
you've done an excellent job of giving us all the answers that we've asked for.
Okay. Well, you have my contact information through planning, so any questions come up, we're happy to answer more, even after the meeting, so.
It'll be 92, 91 units?
104.
104,
Yeah,
okay.
so it'd be a lot of housing.
Wow, and then
Yeah.
it'll be a 3-story.
Mhm.
That is,
And it'll bring a lot of other
and we have a
services.
ladder, heaven forbid, we have a ladder, fire truck with a ladder. We bought it about 10 years ago, said, why do we need a ladder?
Yeah,
We don't, and then we have a couple of 2-story buildings, but we got a ladder.
okay.
We don't want to use it, but in
Not that
case,
we-
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got it.
We wanna use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this will be sprinkled as well,
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that I would, I'm looking at this is, and I like the yard and maintenance and some of the work. I mean, if you all would, and when the time comes, of course, consider our local people from the city of Palmview, the area for these, for the jobs that are going to be needed as they come up.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. I mean, we'll need a property manager, a maintenance person, and then assistants there. We'll also have,
Just don't take
groundskeep-
our directors.
No, we won't take anyone from the city.
Thank you, Mayor.
But we'll have other things, painting, grounds, landscaping, exterminating. I mean, there'll be a lot of services that will come along with this many units.
Yeah, some of these guys might end up living there. And then, of course, if we need to look at all the legal jargon, but if we can do something to help promote this, right? As well through our city. You know, I don't know, I mean, how and if and how, but if we can, we'll look at it and see if and how we could help promote something nice.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes. So, with that said, we are in item 7.2, and I read the item, and I'll go ahead and read the item again, but, Mike, is it just gonna be giving you authority, or just
It's just
approving?
approving the resolution. And
Okay.
again, the resolution, it just says that we support the project and that we would look at waiving fees and not to exceed $500, and those would be permit fees or inspection fees or something to that effect.
Beautiful, Rudy, and help, like you do with everybody else, Joseph. Help expedite the process, and we got another member in the hood, the neighborhood, because we talk about brotherhood and sisterhood and fatherhood and motherhood, and we got the neighborhood too. So, and so discussion and possible action regarding the resolution, for the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs for 2025, competitive 9% housing tax credits not to exceed $500 for RST Mandalay. I'll go ahead and make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we'll be reaching out to you. You've got contact information already, right? Anybody who needed Jerry as well. Our fire chief is sitting right behind you as well. All right, thank you. Next item, 7.3, discussion and possible action regarding the request of Hidalgo County Elections Department for the use of city facility, our city facility as a polling place for the 2025 elections. Staff by, is it going to be you, Ms. Barrera? Mr. Leo?
Join us here, Ms. Manette. So Ms. Manette received the letter that you have before you. It's election time, and this is regarding all elections for the year of 2025. Now, while there are a few elections that are noted, some of those don't apply to us. So those are the ones that are lined out in red. There's May local entities. Again, we don't have elections in May, and if there was runoffs in May, we don't have those. The only entities that have those are Peñitas and Sullivan, Alton and Palmhurst. So the only election that we would most likely have, if we wanted to consider this, would be the general election in November. The proposal is for us to consider early voting and election day. That's a new trend that we've seen recently with their request. Before, we only used to open on election day in certain cases. Now they are asking that if it's, again, it's up to us, but if we're open to early voting and election day, and again, this would most likely be for the general election. Ms. Sonette received a response. Any other thing that we might want to add, Sonette?
No, again, they just want to maintain consistency for our voters that utilize this location in our area, for the most part. And again, this is a single request for the entire year of 2025 election year.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. What do you all, we usually, you know, we want our voice, our constituents, and we are always assisting with elections, so I don't have a problem. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
To approve the item, I have a motion, and I'll go ahead and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Just keep us posted.
I would just add, this is at no charge to us as a city, because the county's running the election. The only time that we pay for elections is if it's a city-run election, which will be next year.
Awesome. Next item, discussion and possible action on improvements to the city council chambers, item 7.4.
Mayor, item 7.4 and 7.5, with your permission, we'd like to take that into executive session. You're going to be consulting with your attorney on a few contractual matters.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move, we'll go ahead and 7.4 and 7.5. Item 7.6, discussion and possible action on scheduling a workshop to discuss capital improvement projects.
Mayor, we'd like to, we've talked about this. We want to coordinate a date, preferably within the next week or so, if possible. Of course, we heard from AWA on the fire hydrants that they want to put out there, or they recommended or suggested if we want to put those out there, because it would be at our expense. They send us the plans, we've looked at them, we've sent it to the fire chief Alanis and to the planning and zoning department, because it could be as much as, close to 150,000, but we want to be selective in where they're needed the most and which locations we can wait on for future development. So that would be the biggest topic for the workshop. The other topic would be for the CO funds, the money that we borrowed at the end of last year. A good portion of that is going to go to the fire station. We know that. That's not going to change. Aside from that, we allocated some funds for improvements to City Hall, for the park project, or park grant that we have, the 2 drainage grants, our share, and then improvements to the park. But of course, we've had other things that have come up, and, council's like, if we can get extra for city projects like paving or drainage or other things, so we still have that pot, so to speak, but this would be a chance for us to really dive into those numbers and how much do we want to allocate and what we have to work with. So, we want to coordinate with Ms. Annette to start working on that workshop. If you have a date in mind, if not, we can have Ms. Annette, start reaching out to you, and at least, at the very least, if you want to something that you want to do on a Saturday or do it during a week when we don't have a council meeting, and we'll do a workshop that week, like next week, for example, it's up for discussion.
So we thinking the weekend, weekday?
Probably weekend for the other council member that can't attend during the week.
And you poll us for a week? Okay, so we're saying weekend. so just
To me, it
poll
doesn't
them-
matter, whatever you guys want.
Poll them and possibly 2 weeks from now? That would be.
When do we need to get Aguas an answer on the hydrants? End of February.
That they're going to send to the state for the 495 expansion project.
Okay, and then if we could have, also that's another one, if we could have, either Jacinto, who's handling the project now, and Pete Alvarez from TechStop, and then our grant writers too, because now we're gonna talk about COs, but we'd also, where are we, and if not, it's okay, but where are we with grant monies also, in reference to some of the projects that are coming?
Okay.
So we might want to bring in our grant writers and see where they're at, or, where we're going to be here in the near future with any funding available. That's it, I think. Anything else?
Yeah, I think those are the main points.
That'll be in 2 weeks? We're going to.
At the earliest next week, no later than the second 2 weeks.
Okay.
The weekday, we'll look at next week, we don't have a meeting, so it'll time good. If not, the weekend.
All right. So I guess we'll word it, so do I have a motion on, as we discussed the items for a calendar, for a workshop, and we'll give, and with approving it, we're still contingent on the dates. I have a motion to approve item 7.6.
Second.
Okay, I'll second. You got it in that? I asked, but you're good.
Okay.
I'll second your second. I got you, brother.
All right.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then item 8, and we'll go ahead and take items 7.4 and 7.5 into executive session. So at 6:45, we will reside into executive session pursuant Texas Government Code 551071, 072, 073, 074, 076, and 551087.